and soon settled down to enjoy our brasserie meal. On the car journey, we hadn't spoken much about the play, but seated at our table, we had to broach the subject. Jokingly, I asked, "Does anybody know what King Lear is about?" We all looked sheepish, and then, feeling I should try to look intelligent, I offered, "Well, I know he has 3 daughters." I trailed off, not sure how to proceed. Jean saved our embarrassment by producing from her handbag a sheet of paper she had printed off the internet. This was a potted summary of the play. She read it out to us. The more she read, the more confused I became, and I doubt I was the only one to feel that way. We all latched onto the part where Lear splits his kingdom into 3 after asking each of his daughters to tell the assembled multitudes how much they loved their father. Goneril and Regan pour on the sycophantic sentiment, whilst Cordelia stubbornly refuses to do so. We all know whom we would trust, but not poor dear old Lear. He stupidly gets it all wrong, and thereby seals his doom and that of just about everybody else who is going to tread that stage. We all then had a very pleasant few minutes slagging off the 2 hypocritical daughters. Liz, who had not seen the play at the Old Vic in London and slept through the whole thing, or so she tells me, called the 2 selfish daughters manipulative minxes, a lovely phrase which was confirmed by what we saw later. This is something that most families can relate to, and I know to my cost that the father-daughter relationship is often fraught with tangled emotional difficulties, not to mention the deadly sister versus sister battlefield. Anyway, by now it was clear that all 4 of us were approaching the forthcoming production with quite a lot of trepidation. Even so, we all put on a brave face and told ourselves how much we were going to enjoy it. The theatre was not much more than half full, which probably explained why they were giving away free tickets. The atmosphere in the auditorium was not like the usual excited buzz when the audience cannot wait for the show to begin. This was more like people sitting in a waiting room, not looking forward to seeing the doctor, but knowing it was probably good for them. The stage design was sombre in the extreme, emphasising the serious nature of what was to come. Oh joy. Eventually, the lights went down and the play began. Clearly, this was a good production. The acting on stage was of a high order, the action well choreographed, the lighting and sound effects most effective. The problem was Mr. William Shakespeare. There are many of the great man's plays where the plotting is easy to follow, the relationships intuitive, and the poetry and rhythm of the language can be enjoyed without having to sacrifice too much clarity of meaning. Not so King Lear. I suppose there are many devotees who have seen the play enough times to understand the intricacies, the subtleties, and the strange motivations of many of the characters. For those unfortunates coming to the play for the first time, the story being told on that stage is sheer gobbledygook. The unfamiliar Tudor language is so dense and opaque in its meaning that the usual trick of understanding, say, 3 words in 5 is just not enough to get over the barrier. You sit in the audience thinking, I should be enjoying this. It's a great play, supposed to be one of the pinnacles of Western culture. So why am I utterly baffled by what's going on? Why are these people behaving in such an unlikely way? And worst of all, there is the ever-present thought, why can't my feeble brain cope with this? It's not as if they are speaking Swahili. What's wrong with me? It doesn't help that much of the dialogue takes place in a fevered rant shouting and emoting, mixed with liberal sloshing on of sheer madness, much of which comes across as total gibberish. All of which just makes it even more difficult to follow what the hell they're on about. It is exhausting to watch. More than once I became aware that I was drifting away. When you can't feel involved in what is going on up on that stage and your brain refuses to work, it is so easy to be lulled by the darkness and warmth. And I swear I caught myself snoring gently on one occasion. I find this astonishing, given that we were only a few short feet from the action in excellent front row stalls. This is not to say there are not moments of crystal clarity and riveting, sometimes shocking drama. There can be few scenes in any play which can compare with the horrific sight of old Gloucester having his eyes plucked out of his head by one of the villains of the piece. The blood spurts and the audience gasps at the realistic graphic spectacle. I was reminded once again that no film, however lavish the special effects, can convey the same sense of stunning amazement as the life enactment on stage with flesh and blood people of such a powerful scene. Truly stomach-wrenching. Towards the end of the play, the mood changes when Lear discovers that Cordelia, his one true faithful daughter, has been captured and hanged by orders of the wicked Edmund. His tender, loving grief as he kneels by her body, in sharp contrast to the high decibel ranting that has gone before, leaves one numbed, heartbroken by the old man's despair, especially knowing that he has largely brought it upon himself. You file out of the theatre at the end in a sombre mood, not knowing if you have enjoyed yourself or not. In the car on the journey home, somebody came up with a daft but interesting suggestion. You know the way they sometimes have somebody stand at the side of the stage and repeat the dialogue in sign language for those who are hard of hearing? Well, maybe in difficult plays like King Lear, there should be someone holding up big idiot balls with an explanation of what is going on for those Shakespeare virgins like me who are getting hopelessly lost. I'd pay extra for that. Would I see King Lear again? Now I have been blooded. Next time might be easier. But I suspect I would need a season ticket to get to grips with all the twists and turns of these foolish, bloodthirsty people. Alan Ayckbourn was never like that.